Hello everyone and welcome back to the Top 100 here on Don't Be Bored. Yes, I am refreshing my list, and if you haven't seen a video up till now, go back to the top of the list because while this is 60 through to 51, there's already been some fantastic games mentioned. And while these are 10 better games than all the ones previous, they're still worth hearing about. But let's jump in today's 10. Let's see what games are on this part of the list. Coming in at number 60 is a CMON game, Rising Sun. This is minis, fantastical, sort of Japanese, but twisted with mythicalness and coolness. These great big plastic minis. I've got the Kickstarter edition, which means I've got a whole box worth of extra plastic minis, different clans, special turtle shaped stronghold pieces, and what you're doing is effectively building up armies, in some cases getting these like monsters from the gods and battling. They all have strengths. You are taking control of areas and you're doing it in very specific areas, and how you're doing it is also a really cool thing. You might be partnered up with someone else, which means when they do something you get a little benefit as well. And those alliances fluctuate. You're not just because in round one you were allied with someone doesn't mean you will be in the next round, because maybe you betrayed them or they betrayed you. But you maybe wait until after they have had their turn, so you've had a benefit, and then you screw them over. That sort of thing. But you're getting these dudes on the map and it looks fantastic. It's got this cool system where you're getting cards that upgrade things, and you're all doing it for points. You're trying to do it like these battles in different areas to control them, to gain points. You get stuff for just being in battles. It's a lot of fun. That's Rising Sun. Next up is Barenpark. I know, if you've watched my previous Top 100 or heard me speak about this game before, you'd think, how is it like this low, basically low in the Top 100? And it's just not been hitting the table. I'm a huge sucker for polyomino placements, tile placement goodness, and this game is fantastic for that. I just wish I didn't have to set the game up. It really takes away from the experience the time it takes to set up. And when at the moment my time is a bit more limited, I go to the shelf to take it off and then my hand comes away from it without the game, just thinking, I'm not sure I can be bothered the 10 minutes or 5 minutes to set this one up. It's a real sort of unfortunate part because I like the gameplay where you're using these tiles, you're trying to get objectives, but you're also trying to cover symbols on your board because that allows you to take more tiles that you're going to be placing on future turns. It's just that setup of, depending on player count, certain tiles are removed. If you're playing with the expansion or not, these tiles get included or not. Shuffling the objective tiles and different things like that. It just takes a bit of time. I really wish this is one of those games where all of the tiles were included regardless of player count, and it just triggered slightly differently, or you randomly removed a certain number rather than having to go through and be like, right, that tile's included, that one's not. It would just mean I'd play this great experience more. It's just the setup really kills getting the game off the shelf. It's still in my collection, it's still a great game. You just have to get through that 5 minutes of setup. And if you've got someone else like setting the game up with you, it's a breeze. But normally I'm setting it up ready ahead of people so they arrive so we can just play. And that means I normally grab something else. But it's still a fantastic tile placement game if you're looking for one. That's Barenpark. Hive Pocket is a game that's actually moved up my list. It's moved up 7 spaces, which is, well, most things seem to have moved down as new stuff's been added, etc. But what a fantastic little game this is. Now, in particular, it's a little game with the Hive Pocket one, which just means it's a bit more portable, bit more travel friendly. It comes in a bag. And to be honest, I don't think the production quality is let down as a result either. They're still chunky tiles, chunkier than you'd get in most other board games. So I don't really miss the even bigger versions. In fact, when I play normal Hive, I feel like they're oversized. But this is a game akin to a chess, a Onitama, that sort of one-on-one two-player experience. But each of these tiles, like these bugs, like insects, they do something slightly different. And you're trying to surround your opponent's bee. Now, one might mean they can't move the tile underneath it. One maybe jumps over. The spider runs round the edge. Those sorts of things, they build together with each of these insects doing something slightly different to create a really cool, very quick two-player experience. If you're looking for a two-player game, this certainly won't do you wrong if you're up for that sort of chess-like thinking, but done in 5-10 minutes. Bang the Dice game is a brand new game to the list. It's one that I've played recently and more in the last 2 years when it was sort of introduced to me by my friend Dwight. We played this with a gathering of people, with non-gamers that are really only just starting to play. They picked it up really easily. And it's all dice rolling goodness with stabbing each other in the back in terms of a social deduction. Effectively, you have one person that's the sheriff and the deputy, you've got some outlaws, and maybe, depending on player count, a renegade in there as well, who's a bit basically out for their own. But the outlaws are trying to kill the sheriff off, the sheriff is trying to just kill off all the outlaws and renegade, and the deputy is just trying to keep the sheriff alive. But you know who the sheriff is, but you don't know who anyone else's roles are. So you've got that sort of social deduction-ness of it. It's like, well, you just attacked the sheriff. I'm assuming you're probably not good then. But sometimes maybe the deputy doesn't have too much of a choice because it's based on your dice rolls. And sometimes you have to shoot someone that's next to you. Okay, well, I can shoot them. But then it's maybe making it super obvious I'm the deputy. They'll kill me off and then have an easy time at the sheriff. But if you re-roll, maybe you're exploding and that's a bad thing. You know, you don't want to explode. Maybe you're getting everyone to be shot with arrows, and when that triggers, everyone's going to be losing some health. Everyone's got a special ability as well. Maybe, oh, I don't mind about arrows. I'm only going to take 1 damage to... Doesn't matter how many arrows I've been hit with. That sort of thing. Maybe another character is like, well, you shot me twice. Okay, well, you actually take a damage back. Or there's these cool abilities and powers that people have. And there's expansions, which I've not yet fully explored, but a really fun one. I've not played the card game version. I'd like to. But the dice one is a lot of fun as you're rolling these dice, re-rolling a couple of times but not pushing your luck too much, and trying to deduce who is on your side. Like, you shot the sheriff. Maybe you're an outlaw, maybe you're the renegade, maybe you're the deputy throwing me off. I just need to kill the sheriff though. I'm gonna re-roll and try and shoot them. A lot of good fun. That is Bang the Dice game. Falling slightly from last year, but almost certainly going to be played over the Christmas period, is Doodle Rush. This is a fantastic modern twist on Pictionary. Throw Pictionary out, you need this game in your collection instead. Because it's kind of exactly the same, but everything's turboed, and you don't have a teammate nagging you that your drawings are bad when theirs are awful. What this game is, you have 6 words and 6 little whiteboard things. When the time goes, everyone starts drawing on each of those 6. So you've got 6 relatively simple words and you're drawing them. So this one's a football, this one's a boat, this one's a bird, that sort of thing. This one's a snowman. You're trying to draw as many of them as you can in that first minute. As soon as that's over, you flip the sand timer and you are guessing everyone's illustrations, what they've just doodled, what they've just drawn. It's not, oh, it's now our turn to guess this person's, then this person's. No, you think you know what that is? That's a cactus. No, it's not. Oh, okay. That's a cat. Yes, okay, I've got that one. And every one you guess is a point, but every one of yours sat in front of you at the end of the game is going to be worth minus a point. So you actually want other players to guess your doodles while you're guessing other people's. And you have a few rounds of like draw, guess, draw, guess, draw, guess, and then you count up. So it's super quick and super fun and super hectic. Like I say, this is exactly what I want from Pictionary in a fraction of the time, and I'm nowhere near the annoyance with that annoying teammate that does bad drawings. Doodle Rush, a great game. At number 55 is Sushi Go Party. Now, I have the Party Edition on the list, but if you're looking for a more portable one, I think Sushi Go is still a great game. But the party version just takes it up from, you know, from that 8 out of 10 to like a 9 out of 10. That sort of jump. Why? Well, you have these great base game cards, and then all of a sudden you're like, right, we've played one round. Let's take that pudding out and put this one in. And let's take these maki rolls out and we're going to put in some tempura shrimps. So you can actually change up what's going into that deck, and it makes it, in my opinion, just a bit more varied, keeps the game fresher and more fun as a result. And this is a drafting and set collection style game. What I mean by that is, if you don't know, you're looking at your hand of cards, you're going to pick what you think is the best and pass the rest on. Your opponents are going to be doing that at the same time. You play the one you kept, and the new cards you get, you're going to pick one from them and pass them on. So you're always trying to pick what's the best in that hand, or at least best to you, because you're trying to collect these sets. Maybe like the tempura shrimps, you need 2 of them for them to actually score, or in pairs to score at the end of the game. Maybe just the normal nigiri, they score you points, but maybe a little less points unless you've taken a wasabi beforehand, then they double. And different things like that that are just great. It's a really easy drafting experience with these cool sushi things. The theming, it's got faces, which is a bit weird, but in like a family friendly way, at least unless you have the German edition, they look a bit creepy. But this normal version of Sushi Go Party, great fun, highly recommend it to anyone, basically. It's a super simple entry-level drafting game that you'll play over and over again. And with the Sushi Go Party version, when you're playing it again and again, you can shuffle some new cards in and out of that experience. Fantastic game. At number 54 is a driving game where you are not only going to be bidding on your cars at the end, but you're also maybe moving your opponent's cars throughout, and that's Downforce. Now in this game you are playing these cards which have like every colour car, or some colours cars. So you play this one and it's like, right, this moves the green, the orange and the red cars a certain number of distance. So you're moving them, and hopefully one of those is your cars. And you're trying to get them around the track as quick as possible. But the twist is, not only have you bidded on these cars because they come with a special ability, you're also going to be betting during the race which you think's going to win. So green has rocketed off the start line. They've already passed the first betting line, and red has hardly made it over the start line. They've moved 2 spaces, whereas green's moved like 10. So you're like, oh, well, I think green's going to win. But maybe you go, actually, I'm going to say blue is going to win, and try and force blue to be really quick and get round the track and beat green when maybe everyone else has betted and that green, they're clearly going to win, they're so far ahead. And you can try and influence things like that. So even though that blue car might not be yours, you might be actually cheering for it to win, and different things like that. It's a really fun one that I think once you've explained it and played a few cards, everyone's like, yep, I know what's going on here. And there's also, I think I've got like 4, 5 different maps in the box, all squeezed into the base game box. So I've got a load of variety in there as well. A really great one, I think Heat has been on the list previously, is coming up, and maybe that will cause Downforce to go down. But at the moment I've played it a lot more and still have some really great memories of Downforce, so it's this high on the list. Number 53 is a two-player game called Mr. Jack. In this, one player is Jack the Ripper, and they are trying to blend in with this crowd and then escape. And it's done with this really interesting system of, effectively, you have to give information at the end of each round. So you'll move some people around, your opponent will move some people around, and then like they're around these lamps that are slowly turned off and different things like that. And you will get the sort of the information of, okay, they're next to someone and they are near some light, that sort of thing. And you're like, okay, well, I can discount this person, that's not Mr. Jack. And you're slowly trying to, as the Mr. Jack player, make sure people can still see each other, so and most of them, or maybe enough people can't see each other, that sort of thing, that the other player can't discount too many people in a round. You're trying to wait as long as you can, or try and get one off towards one of the exits. So maybe you move the wrong person up near an exit so your opponent thinks that's the Mr. Jack in disguise. A really cool two-player game. Doesn't take too long, but it feels like both sides have some cool abilities. And I think this is one of those ones where after a few games, some people do find that one side wins more than the other, but I still really enjoy it as a two-player game. There is a smaller pocket version available, but I like just the normal board size of this one. So Mr. Jack, a great two-player game. Number 52. A few lists back we had the Jumbo edition of Big City, and the Jumbo edition of Container is now on the list. This is a game which doesn't deserve to be on this list at all. It should be one of the worst and driest games you can ever think of. You are creating containers that you are then pricing up. Your opponents are then buying some of those and putting them in their own warehouses, again pricing them up for like a $1 profit. Then you're sailing these container ships to the ports to buy these containers and sell them at another island at an auction. That does not deserve to be as fun as experience as that actually turns out to be, because you are really trying to get every ounce of profit out of your grey containers. Oh, hang on, my grey containers are worth 2. Well, I'm going to reevaluate and move it down to 1 because they've just made some grey containers over there and theirs are at 2 as well. So if I put mine down at 1, anyone wanting to buy one will come to me. And you're just trying to eke out this stupid amount of like $1 profit here, $1 profit there. Because when it gets to an auction and you're trying to bid big, that's the only way money normally comes into the game. Otherwise, it's like a closed money environment. Again, that doesn't sound like it should be fun, but these auctions create big splashes of wealth that means then money's thrown around the table as people are trying to use it to capitalise and gain big advantages. And it's all then scored in a really interesting way. Like, whatever you've got the most of, container-wise, you don't score those. But some of your containers are worth like 1 point, some of them are potentially worth like 5, 10 points. Well, you don't want the most, therefore, of those 10 scoring ones because they will be excluded from your scoring. So you actually need to start collecting a load of them, but more 1 point value containers. And what's worth 1 point for you will be maybe worth 4 for an opponent. And it doesn't sound like it should be fun, but if you want to know why this game is fun, go and watch the Shut Up and Sit Down review. It completely sold me on getting this game, and I'm so glad I did. It's ridiculous that a game about container ships is that fun, but it really is. Container, the big Jumbo Anniversary Edition, what a cracking game. And the last one on this batch of 10 is another brand new game, so we'll actually have had 2 this time around, and it is Waterfall Park. Now, I haven't had the opportunity to play the original Chinatown, and I've heard that is fantastic, so when this brand new edition came out, with some changes, some tweaks, certainly a brighter presentation, with some, well, a lot less potential racist undertones, I was really jumping on to play this one, and I really have enjoyed it. It's that perfect level of interaction as you are trading these like lots. So it's like, oh, I want to build there, you own it, okay, can I buy that off you? Can I swap it for this shop tile? You're making a collection of those ghost rides over there, right? I have a ghost tile that you can add to that to complete your set over there, but in return I want 2 ice cream tokens. And they're like, whoa, I'm not going to do that. 2 tokens for 1? It's like, yeah, but yours will get you more points and money in the long run. And then they're like, okay, throw in a coin. And you're like, okay, I'll throw in a coin. And you do these sort of trades around the table. And it's like, one space is often really good for one player, but maybe someone else could use it as well. So you can bounce the 2 of them off each other to try and get more out of it. And it's just a very interactive game. I like the theming, though it doesn't necessarily make too much sort of... it doesn't make the game better, but it certainly makes the game very colourful. But Waterfall Park is a great experience. At some point, I'd still like to play Chinatown. But now I've played this and got it in the collection, the need to isn't really there. It's more of a, I'd want to at some point. But what a great game Waterfall Park is. And, well, that not only wraps up this batch of 10, but the first 50 games on the list. We've had a load of new games, but don't worry, there's still some new games in the top 50 as well. So please follow the channel, subscribe, that sort of thing, because every 3 days I'm releasing the next batch of 10. So you can find out what 10 games are better than this and what 50 games are better than the 50 I've already covered. And until next time, like, subscribe, all that sort of jazz. Let me know your favourite game from the list in the comments section below, and have a fantastic day gaming.